Hello, lovely podcast people. I hope you're well, wherever you are in the world, probably doing steps, as you always tell me, so I hope those steps are going well. I am exhausted today because I did some steps in the form of running, so I've almost fell asleep trying to just prepare for this podcast, and it's now 11:15 at night. So my circadian rhythms are going to be completely screwed because of all these lights in my eyes. But anyway, you're welcome. This podcast is about collagen. I said last week, I think, I was going to start, I already have done, but make another concerted effort to go through and answer listener questions from the form on my website, martinmacdonald.com, martin-macdonald.com/NANP, I believe. And there's a form there where you can fill in stuff. And this one is something that just came up in so many questions. So I thought, do you know what? It probably, even though it's a bit boring for me, deserves its own podcast where people can just be pointed towards. I can point people towards. You guys can post it about informing people. So, collagen supplements, they are obviously it's a bit like CBD. When CBD came out, everyone jumped on the bandwagon because it's a new place to just make money, and people love making stuff up to make money, don't they? What a sad world we live in. Collagen's been around for a while, a long time, and again, it's just the number of claims about it are crazy. So the other thing I will say is gelatin is also part of this discussion, which is quite an interesting thing when you think how expensive some of the supplements on the shelves are around collagen, particularly targeting the beauty standards, the beauty industry, whatever you want to call that, aesthetics. People will pay a lot of money if a famous celebrity with nice, naturally nice skin, then with loads of makeup, then touched up a million times using digital programs, and then they go, I'm taking this. And then you look at the research and that they're lying. But I will say there is some positive here that I'm going to talk about. But before I go there, the interesting thing is therefore how much they can charge for a product with a brand that someone is and that someone is promoting. And the issue is that people then think expensive means effective. My PA, follows loads of beauty type people, and talk about different creams and some ingredients that you should be going for, and saying, this product's fantastic. And I was in Home Bargains. If you're around the world, it's just like a super, super cheap. They don't let you, here's a funny one, they don't let you go in Home Bargains with your own bags. It's like, did you bring your own bags today? Yes, cool. In Sainsbury's, you save yourself 5 or 10p, whatever. You're not allowed. I took my own bags in to good for the environment, and I was told I wasn't allowed to. And he looked, and I was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, wow, it's just, it's okay this time. I'm there dressed smart in my work clothes with my babies, dressed really quite smart. A shirt, like a really smart looking, like my grey jacket, if you ever seen it on my story, just smart, right? And he's like, sorry, sir, you can't bring your own plastic bags in with you. And he basically goes, yeah, it's just it's a Home Bargains rule. The type of clientele we get, we don't allow people to bring their own shopping bags. I was like, oh my goodness. So basically people thieving stuff. But anyway, where was I? It's cheap. It's really cheap. And anyway, I bought some skin products that I just thought, I'll try this out. It's specific for blemishes. Had some ingrowing hairs, and then they'd give me little blemishes. It was annoying me, so I just got this thing. Anyway, she was like, "Oh my goodness, it's I can't remember which. It wasn't. Is it salicylic acid or there's another one? Anyway, one of the it was maybe nicotinamide, niacinamide. Anyway, one of the ones, and it said what percentage it was, and her one, which is like a million times as expensive, has the same percentage of niacinamide or whatever ingredient it was. Anyway, People like to spend a lot of money because the placebo effect is greater if you spend more money on it. Where was I? The point of me telling you that is you can get collagen, hydrolyzed collagen in powder form off whatever, Amazon, etc. You can get gelatin, which essentially is a man-processed, essentially by processing collagen, boiling collagen, I believe, you get gelatin, and their bioavailability is very similar and their effect in the body is very similar for some of the things I'm going to talk about. And, interestingly, gelatin is like the thing that is almost used as a filler. So in like low quality protein brands, you'll often get a high percentage of the protein coming, like in protein bars, coming from gelatin. And the amino acid profile of gelatin and collagen is not great. It's not as good as your whey proteins. So it's not going to stimulate muscle protein synthesis as well. It's far more ineffective at doing so. But in all of your sweets and in jelly, the gelatin in that is exactly what we're talking about here. So the thing I'm just going to quickly start with, because it's an interesting area and there's some research on it. Keith Barr, he has come under some criticism by other researchers. He's maybe been a bit too taken by his own research. I'm not saying anything untoward about him or questioning too much, but I'm just sort of pointing out that he's providing brilliant information in this research, but maybe he's just a bit too on board with it, which is understandable it's a bit like with me and inositol. People might say that about me and inositol because I'm just like, oh my goodness, it just seems to have these amazing effects, because you just end up getting told all of the positive stories of when people use it, and whether or not they're just coincidences half the time anyway. So he's done this research on tendon health and injury, and basically supplementing with, I believe his first research was on just gelatin and vitamin C. I don't even think there was any collagen. And it was like 15-ish grams of gelatin. And so you can literally, like, he's even posted like recipes for just like Jello cubes where you just mix Ribena, I think he uses. I think he does that for the vitamin C. So in the studies that vitamin C also promotes, and I think works synergistically, but I think it works alone. I'm not like strong on the mechanistic stuff in this area, but certainly showing that taking those together, so like a few 100 milligrams of vitamin C with like 10 to 15 grams of gelatin, and essentially then training, let's say, your Achilles tendon through with eccentric exercise, and it increases the collagen content, and we get better healing and recovery from injury. So there is this promise, like gelatin is having that effect. I will also say at this point, there is a bit of a woo-woo world within the paleo maybe type realms where people are avidly recommending bone broth, which is essentially just boiling your bones. And my mum used to do this to make stock and stuff after you've got the chicken carcass, after you roast chicken, and then just boiling it, but not for this reason. But again, it's a very inconsistent source of collagen and the amino acids from bones, etc. So all of the weird and wacky and wonderful claims about that, just ignore them. So there's also stuff about hair and nails, and really the evidence isn't strong for those things. So hair and nails, no, just forget it. Gut health, no, just forget it. Like massive, I don't even really know why there's such a big push around collagen for gut health and bone broth for gut health and gelatin for gut health. It's just, I think, another, get a buzzword, get a product, sell it. Like I've seen one study ever really looking at leaky gut, and it was like, not in humans. I think it was an in vitro study, and using isolated cells and, epithelial cell junctions were tighter with application of something or other. Anyway, I'm just trying to remember what I've read. It's the same thing that you see when people like cut out gluten. So and zonulins. So no, not there. Now, so I'm going to finish this with the last bit, which is really the most important, I suppose, interesting, is skin. And skin is the area where we can't just go, no, it's pointless. Like, there is evidence, albeit weak, slightly limited. I've got an itch on my back. I can't reach. Evidence that through oral supplementation, so topical, so rubbing it into your face, like putting the cream on your face and rubbing it in, is not doing it. You need to take it orally. The more I'm saying those words, the more my mind is wandering. My apologies. But yeah, and again, I'm not an expert in this area. I have read stuff over the years. I believe the better topical applications are the retinoids, your sort of vitamin E-esque creams, but I'm not going to go into talking about that here. I'm trying to remember actually, there's a good skin doctor I follow on Instagram. She posts some good stuff. I can't remember her name. What a pain. Never mind. Sorry about that, whoever you are. I don't want to guess her name because that was just embarrassing if I get it wrong. So then the vitamin E-based stuff, topical, seems to work. It was increasing antioxidant status in the skin cells, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, oral supplementation can increase, seemingly, collagen in the skin. And over time, skin elasticity obviously reduces, and you get the presence of wrinkles that people are, it's their choice, rightly or wrongly, that they don't want. I'm all for not aging gracefully, so I'm on board, but I'm going into a body image discussion here, which I don't want to do. But the only thing that I will say is expensive supplements are, just don't do it. Like, there's no special fancy. Supplement companies do this on purpose. Like, they will literally go and like make stuff up. It happened with the whey proteins. They're like, oh, it needs to be cross-flow, microfiltrated whey protein. It needs to be cold pressed. The heating, it's just rubbish. They just make stuff up. I remember when My Protein, I was one of the first few thousand customers of My Protein, like when they were just first founded. I was a moderator on their forum. They're obviously now a multinational. I think there's part of the Hut Group. Anyway, everyone just slating them because they were doing stuff so cheaply, but they weren't wasting money on stuff that other companies waste money on, buying in bulk, etc. I remember the bags of whey, you would literally get in an animal feed bag with a Ziploc tie, and like if the postman had like dropped your box, it just at the top, so your box was just like full of white powder, like it was all unflavored whey protein. You just add your own flavor, Nesquik. And anyway, the good old days, eh? Don't be wasting loads and loads of money. You want to get collagen. And the problem is these studies just seem to be so wide ranging. It's like 2 to 3 grams up to about 10 grams a day. And for extended periods, like I would be saying, like if this is something you really, really care about and you can afford and you can find a way that's manageable for doing it, you just want to be doing this daily. Like the studies I looked at are maybe like, I think around 90 days. Sorry, I didn't actually. I should have probably made a note of something like that. But, there's many, many different studies of different lengths of time. I'm sure I saw one for 6 months. And they are increasing collagen content, elasticity, skin cell hydration, I believe is a term they often use in those studies. So that's my answer. When people go, are these things worth it? It's a cost benefit analysis you need to perform on it. It doesn't make a big difference. And for that reason, it's just, it comes down to a financial cost, an effort cost, time and effort cost, for what perceived benefit. And as long as it doesn't take away from other things, like there are lots of things. I mean, again, not an expert in the area, but skin, UV damage on skin is likely to be much more of an issue with regards to, an issue if you don't want your skin to age. I was kind of joking to my staff about this, but like gelatin in sweets, like I eat so many sweets. My PA again bought me this jar of squashies, my favourite sweets, for Christmas, and she put 8 bags of squashies in them, and then I had 2 bags given to me by someone else, and 1 bag I got a member of staff to buy me a few days earlier before I got this. So I had 11 bags of squashies, 11 times 160 grams. What's that? 1,760. Correct. And that's 1.76 kilos of squashies, and I nailed them in about 4 days over Christmas. And that's a lot of gelatin. Unfortunately, I wasn't doing any eccentric exercise on my Achilles tendons. But, that's a fairly daily occurrence for me all year round, eating all of these jelly sweets that are made from gelatin. And I've not got bad skin, despite being a bit of a sun worshipper when I can be. But anyway, something for you to ponder. Don't all go eating loads of sweets and sugar because of that. Check out cheap sources of, go and... You know what? I'll post a link to Keith Barr's recipe. His recipe's more specific, for tendon health, but it's, same. And it's super duper cheap, and you just get these really chewy Jello cubes that give you, I think it was, I worked it out, it was like 16 grams of a mixture of gelatin and collagen, hydrolyzed collagen with vitamin C. Right. I hope that's helpful to you. It's a bit off kilter for me to talk about nutrition for skin health, but I hope it's helpful. Share it around if you think it'd be helpful to people. Probably just point them to these last 6 or 7 minutes rather than my earlier ramblings. And until next time, much love.